What is up, Hot Wheels racing fans? You're watching the NASCAR Nitro Series on the HSL Diecast Racing channel. And today we got qualifying for the Modifieds at Martinsville Speedway. The stocks really put on a show here, and we're expecting the Modifieds to do the same with the old school start gate. These are some of the biggest cars that start gate has ever seen. This qualifying session, this race, they are going to be lit. And right now we're going to kick it off with our points leader, Gale Force, alongside Lord Shank. Gale Force coming off back-to-back podiums and cautions out for an El Reco. That's a DNF for your points leader, Gale Force. She will have to race her way in the last chance qualifier. Finish 2 laps with other cars on the track, and she's not even guaranteed a spot if she wrecks again. And up next is Misty G and Chef Squid. And, well, Chef Squid's going to have to race his way back in, too. His new car didn't seem to do him much good. And speaking of new cars, we got Baby Richie in a new car going up against Clyde, and Baby Richie is putting the pressure on him. That is the most speed we've seen from him all year. That new car looked really good. And now we have your Le Mans winner, Burt Buzzard, alongside Sloppy Bear, and Sloppy Bear turns up on his roof before he even gets to the split track. Is an El Reco for him. And up next we have Lord Raymond and Christy for G-Force Racing. Christy takes the lead, but cannot hold on to it. She will have to race her way in as well. And this reminds me, I got to get some catch fences. We'll be seeing them with at least the Coca-Cola 600, possibly even the All-Star race. And up next, we have Gaza and Casey Kane. And this time, Casey doesn't get stuck at the start gate, although Gaza still beats him. And up next, we have Harry Hoon going up against Sparky Racer. And he's making it a tighter contest than I'd have thought. But Harry Hoon pulls away coming out of turn 1. And Harry Hoon will be moving on to the next round. And up next, we have Riot Isaac for Puffs Racing and Mike Honcho for Dog Squad. And Mike Honcho gets a car length lead. They are side by side. This is a really close contest. Riot Isaac pulls it away coming out of turns 2 and 3, slides across the finish line. And up next, we have Bobby Labonte going up against Gray, whose car is red. And what a block by Gray coming out of the split turns. That'll enable him to keep the lead coming to the finish line. Another close race. And now it's the team boss, Puff, up against Elton Sawyer for Mark Russell Racing, Sparky Racer's teammate. And they're keeping this one close, too. Still side by side heading into turns 2 and 3. Puff pulls away at the last second. And you may be wondering who these other cars are. There's the Slambulance, our on-site medical staff, as well as a couple of fans and the official HSL tow truck. Now up next we have Po Boy in the number 4 and Giorgio in the number 27. And Giorgio gets squirrely right off the bat, but manages to survive. Po Boy almost laps the guy, but Giorgio is still trucking along, and it looks like he will indeed finish the lap. And up next, we have Bill Z. Bub on the inside and Jay Bo for Dog Squab Racing on the outside. Dog Squab is building his own track for hosting Redline Derby tournaments. And Jay Bo makes a killer pass on the outside, uses a reverse side draft to clinch a first-round win. He really needed that. Up next, we have William and the Owl Man. And William, who controversially wrecked his teammate last week at Le Mans, absolutely blows the doors off the Owl Man, who doesn't even finish the lap, as he gets loose and slides to a halt millimeters from the finish line. And up next, we have on the inside Heather, our Daytona 500 winner, and Charlie Verney in the number 74. And what a show they are putting on, beating and banging. Both of them almost flipped over once, and Heather manages to hold him off at the last second there. And up next for our next round, we have Gavin McSpladge in the 999, and that's an El Reco for Gavin McSpladge. He will have to race his way in the last chance race. And now we have the 6 highest drivers that lost their race but finished their qualifying laps. They're going to race to get back into the winner's bracket. Whoever wins this race gets back into the winner's bracket because we have an odd number of cars. And the gates are down for lap number 1. Both of Demon Preacher's cars in the front row, followed by Giorgio and Elton Sawyer. And look at that monster El Reco. The whole entire inside lane just goes flying out of the split turn. And we're going to replay this in slow motion. All 3 cars on the inside lane. It looks like Mike Honcho got involved there too. As the drone camera surveys the wreckage, looks like Bobby Allison actually landed on his wheels. So his hopes for the pole position are alive. We're going to replay this in slow motion. It looks like it happened when Giorgio got into the back of Bill Z. Bub, and that collected Bobby Allison in that split second of chaos, and Bobby Allison just hooks the back of Giorgio and sends himself flying into the outfield. And the 3 of them collided with enough force to move the track. It looks like Mike Honcho, he was so far behind, he got caught on it before he could even get into the split track, and Charlie Verney's got an easy cruise back into the winner's bracket with that. You can't really blame the drivers for being careful there. there's really not even any points they were racing for. And now we have the losing drivers bracket, Bill Z. Bub and Baby Richie's new car. Bill throws a block on Richie and manages to save himself from starting in the back, or at least the very back. And now we have Giorgio and Casey Kane, and cautions out for an El Reco for Casey Kane. He'll join the two-time losers club starting near the back of the field. And up next we have Sparky Racer and Elton Sawyer, the Mark Russell Racing teammates, and they are not going at it like teammates, but rather arch rivals. Pretty violent lap there. Elton Sawyer takes the win there. And we have Mike Honcho and Bobby Allison there. Two drivers you saw were involved in the big one. Looking a lot smoother now. And the last of the losing drivers bracket is taken by Bobby Allison. And now we have Charlie Verney up against our points leader, Misty G. And he is not making it easy for Misty. She has to resort to a reverse side draft in order to keep the lead there. She'll be moving on to the next round. And up next, it's Lord Shank and Clyde. And Lord Shank got the upset in the first round after Gale force wrecked, but now it's his turn to wreck, and Clyde will be moving on. And now we have Burt Buzzard, Le Mans winner, up against J-Bo, who won the first round on the outside. And that is a double DNF. Both of these guys had impressive first laps. Come on, guys. Both of you know better than that. This is Martinsville. It's a short track. Well, now the highest-ranking driver that loses in this round will be put back into the winner's bracket because of that. And right now, that'll be Charlie Verney, but if Lucky Jackson loses, it'll be him, and Lord Raymond moves on for sure. Up next, it's Gaza and Heather, both in number 10 cars. Heather, your Daytona 500 winner. Gaza coming off back-to-back podiums, and it'll be Gaza moving on. Up next, it is William for Uncle Elvis Racing and Harry Hoon for Mark D. Cut Rock Creek Racing. And Harry Hoon looks like he's going to run away with this one. And moving on to Riot Isaac and Po Boy. Getting to the closer and more evenly matched matchups. These guys are pretty close in points, and it is neck and neck. Po Boy has a slight lead coming out of the turns, and by less than a car length, Po Boy takes. And Riot Isaac should be pretty hard to dethrone from the winner's bracket. I believe Riot Isaac actually clinched that, being the first driver to lose from the inside. And yes, that was the last car of that round. Now Riot Isaac will have to face his teammate and points leader Misty G. And Misty G is the points leader for the reason she does not go easy on him, slides in an aggressive block right in front of him. And it's going to be Misty G moving on to the next round. And up next we have Clyde, her biggest competitor, and Gray from Sloppy Bear Racing. And Gray gets loose, gets squirrely, and doesn't finish the lap. I'm sure he's glad he didn't do that in the first round, but also disappointed because he looked fast all day long. And another really close, tight race, and another win from the outside for Po Boy. Close the whole way around the track until the final stretch when he pulled away. And now it is time for Gaza and Harry Hoon. And take a look at this block Gaza's throwing. Gaza blocks Harry Hoon the whole way down the track and then uses him as a ramp to cross the finish line. What a lap that was for Gaza. And that was the last two cars for the round of 8. Now it's time for Po Boy and Misty G, and they are neck and neck. Does he have one more outside pass in him? Yes, he does. Po Boy will be one of the two drivers competing for the pole. The other two is going to be either Clyde or Gaza, and it looks like it's going to be Clyde because Gaza launches himself out of the split turns and implants himself under the cardboard. What a terrible lap for him. But now it is time for the race for the pole, and it looks like all of Po Boy's energy is spent, loses by a half a track segment. And Clyde will be your pole sitter. Now it's time for the last chance race. If you finish 2 laps, you're in. If you don't, you are out. And it looks like Sloppy Bear has an El Reco on the very first lap. Owlman stalls in turn 1. They're not going to qualify. Sloppy Bear and the Owlman will not race. That means at least the top 8 of the stocks will get in. And so will Gale Force. She redeems herself from her bad initial lap. And up next we have Gavin McSplad, Chef Squid, and Christy. They get a little squirrely coming out of turn 1, but recover. Gavin McSplad holds on the lead for lap number 2. The positions don't change. The gates are down. Chef Squid plows under Gavin a little bit, gets him loose. Gavin manages to stay on his wheels, and all 3 of these guys are going to race. And now it's time for the position draws. The 0-2 group. Baby Richie has the best card there. Casey Kane has the worst, so he'll be starting right in front of the stocks and the last chance cars. Elton Sawyer draws an ace of spades for the 1-1 group. That'll put him ahead of the other cars that were in the second chance race earlier. And here is the round of 16 eliminations. It looks like J-Bo drew an ace, and so did Heather. Heather getting the ace of spades tiebreaker. Not so much luck for Charlie, Verney, Lucky Jackson, or Puff. Here's the round of 8 eliminations. Harry Hoon gets the best starting spot in this group. Gray gets the final front row starting spot. And it looks like Misty G will be starting 3rd, and Gazza will be starting 4th. Here is your final race lineup. The top 8 drivers from the stocks get to be the field fillers today. Lucky Jackson to Vinny Nightlife. Only 2 drivers got to miss it this time because they didn't finish the last chance race. And there's your pole sitter Clyde. Right next to him is Lord Raymond. Great starting spot for Po' Boy. Lord Shank on the front row. Charlie Verney and Elton Sawyer drafting with the leaders. The cards were kind to J-Bo after his DNF too. Chef Squid gets to try out his new car from dead last. And that is your starting lineup. Don't forget to hit that like button, leave a comment, and if you haven't already, subscribe. See yous out there on the track.